Praise the Lord.
Praise God.
Nina, if she had a few more minutes, probably she would have given the entire testimony. It is so powerful the way the Lord was leading us and dealing with our situation. It is so powerful. I just can't explain it. And she is much better in explaining that because, as she said, every word the Lord says, there is no change to it. If He has said something, He is not a man to change. പറഞ്ഞ വാക്ക് മാറ്റാൻ മനുഷ്യനല്ല. ഞങ്ങളുടെ ജീവിതത്തിൽ ഞങ്ങളെ ശരിക്കും പഠിപ്പിക്കുന്ന ഒരു സമയമായിരുന്നു. ഇച്ചിരി ടഫ് പഠിപ്പീരായിപ്പോയെന്ന് മാത്രം. ആക്ച്വലി ഞങ്ങളുടെ ഈ ക്ലാസ് തുടങ്ങിയിട്ട് ഏകദേശം 6 മാസമായി. He had to teach us, correct us, build us, rebuild us. Certain things He had to bring it down and rebuild. Looking back, I seriously enjoy that. And I thank God that He gave us that opportunity to go through that university much better than the university. And this is not really the first time. This is actually probably from the major ones itself, this is kind of, third time. But this was the lengthiest, the longest one. And enduring this was not at all easy. I think Molly Sachin Barnapom, you said, even though I walked through the valley of shadow of death, I'm telling you, it is very easy for people to say that. Only when we go through that, we will really see what exactly it is. To അതിശയോക്തി അല്ല, ഞങ്ങളുടെ exactly situation, I don't know how many of you might know. It's a very different situation for us. We are on visa here. We are not on a immigrant visa. We are actually on a work visa. We are here till the day there is work or till the day when, the visa is available. So in my case, the project got over for whatever, reason, and we were stuck, right? So that was the kind of situation, and there was no way out. But the Lord promised that He is going to do something. And that was the single reason why we were holding on. Back in October, the Lord gave me an assurance that this sickness is not unto death, but for the glory of God. Somehow that word got stuck into my mind, stuck into our lives as a family. We literally clung on to that. He spoke to each one of us. To Nina, He spoke very specifically to cast the net here, as Jesus told Peter. To my mom, the Lord showed the spring coming up right at our place. To our pastor's wife, He revealed that just as in the case of Samson, in Lehi, where he was standing, it opened up, and he drank and was satisfied. So all these promises, when it came, it was so difficult for us to say no. So even though officially we got transferred, we still felt like, clinging on because of the word. Because if He says something, we cannot ignore that. Whoever else say whatever else it is. The Lord kept on talking to us, kept on reminding us. He said, the heaven, the Most High, rules in the kingdom of men. One fine day it was like, when we kind of lost all the hope, when we felt like, hey, we are probably doing a mistake, it powerfully came into my heart that the Most High rules over the kingdom of man. That kind of underlined it. Hey, who has to be listened to? So every single day, the Lord was, telling us something and encouraging us. And that is when the word really adds value. Even though you walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I'll fear no evil. Why? Because you're with me, your rod and your staff, they comfort me. What is this rod and your staff? The word and the Spirit are with us to comfort us, to guide us, to take us the way He is intending us to do. I was not planning to share the testimony. I just wanted to add to what Nino just mentioned. But it is something interesting which came as part of one of those days, word from the Lord, that again I was encouraged to speak here too. And it's a little funny. I kind of lost, for some time in between, right? I'm telling you, it's very easy to just, speak great, but when you go through it, it's not easy, all right? So this is something from Luke chapter 24. Something very, we may not like it if we are told that way. Luke chapter 24, verse 23. No, Luke chapter 24. Okay, let's skip on to 25. 25 മോനെ. Yeah. Very, very simple one. Let me just read that. Oh, foolish ones. Then he said unto them, oh, fools. How many of you like to hear that word? Oh, fools, and slow of heart to believe all that the prophets have spoken. Actually, ഒരു ദിവസം ഇങ്ങനെ ക്ഷീണിച്ചിരുന്നപ്പോൾ അടിച്ചു തന്നൊരു വാക്യത്. ഇത്രയും വാക്തത്വം തന്നിട്ട്, ഇത്രയും പറഞ്ഞു നടത്തിക്കൊണ്ടിരുന്നിട്ട് പിന്നെ സംശയിച്ചാൽ പിന്നെ എന്തോ പറയണ്ടേ? അപ്പോഴും പറയുന്നത് ഇത് തന്നെയാണ്. അയ്യോ ബുദ്ധിഹീനരെ, പ്രവാചകന്മാർ പറഞ്ഞിരിക്കുന്നത് എല്ലാം വിശ്വസിക്കാത്ത മന്ദബുദ്ധികൾ. ഇവിടെ ഇരിക്കുന്നവരെ ആരെയും വിളിക്കാനല്ല, പക്ഷേ ആരുടെയെങ്കിലും ജീവിതത്തിൽ ഏതെങ്കിലും കാര്യത്തിൽ ദൈവം വാഗ്ദത്തം ചെയ്തതിൽ ഡിലേ വന്നിട്ട് സംശയിക്കാൻ തുടങ്ങിയെങ്കിൽ അവരോട് മാത്രം പറയാനുള്ളൊരു വാക്യം ഇതാണ്. ഞങ്ങളുടെ ജീവിതത്തോട് സംസാരിച്ചത് കൊണ്ട് I just want to reiterate that here. What is the situation here? What is the situation here? Who is Jesus talking to? Who is Jesus talking to? I like to hear answers, by the way. Who is he talking to? Oh, two people, right? Cleopas and another person. What is the kind of scenario here? What's the day? Jesus is no more there with them, right? He got arrested, right? He got, scourged, and he got crucified, right? He's dead, right? All situation completely against. Everything is done. It is true that when he was with them, a lot of promises were there, a lot of encouragement was there, a lot of miracles were there. Everything was happening, everything was hunky-dory, right? Whenever they need something, if there is no food, he will make food. Bring it out of nothing, right? Everything was great. But now he is not there. The situation is completely against. They are dejected, completely dejected. completely exhausted too, because they are running away, they are kind of hiding away from them, exhausted, dejected, right? They are all, completely in a lost situation, isn't it? And, this is one feeling which came into our hearts too. We got kind of frozen. Do you know what does that mean? We got kind of frozen. Can't even think. Can't even pray. Can't even feel what's going on. I used to tell, sometimes used to ask, how do you feel? I'm kind of frozen. It happens. I just want to remind that we are just humans. It happens, but the hope is not lost. That is what I want to remind you today. What's the situation again? Back to here. Was there a reason for these guys to be really feeling that dejected? If you read, just prior to that, something interesting is already happening there. And that is the reason why Jesus is calling them, oh, fools. You know why? Because look into the first part of it. I don't want to read that entire chapter. That entire chapter, if you read from that context, it is very funny, right? The ladies have gone to the tomb, right? By the way, it is the ladies who went. We men, many times, are kind of sometimes tough to crack, right? Sometimes just nuts to crack, right? But the ladies went with, and they were told something. The angels are telling them something, isn't it? He's not here, but is risen. Remember how he spoke to you when he was still in Galilee, saying the Son of Man must be delivered into the hands of sinful men and be crucified, and the third day rise again. Promise is there. If you have a promise, that's my point. All right? And are they just keeping that promise to themselves? They came. They came to the disciples, and even these guys were there, by the way. These Cleopas and the other guy were also there as part of those. But you know what? Verse 11, what does it say? Their words seem to be what? Yeah. Frozen. Kind of feeling it very difficult to believe. Lost. Kind of lost. Right? Here it goes. But there was one guy. I like that guy. Who was that guy? It talks about another guy there. But Peter, I don't want to explain any of that. But Peter, what did he do? He started running, right? And he wanted to be the first, by the way. But let me just rush through because just because of the lack of time. It is after these kind of promises which they have been getting all through the time that they have spent with Jesus. All promises there. Promises being renewed and, they being told again by the angels that indeed on the third day he's going to rise again. What are these guys doing? Still frozen, still dejected, still lost, still doubting. And going where? Back to Emmaus. Right? Interesting. Put ourselves there. Put ourselves there. How many times? How many times? Promises are abounding. He has promised, and he kept on giving more promises. He's keeping on telling us, hey, do not doubt. If I have said something, I will do it. But still, we are frozen, right? Not just frozen. If you see, it is again interesting. These guys were blind also when Jesus came and walked with them. Even when Jesus is coming and walking with them, couldn't see. Blinded. Blind. Isn't that the situation sometimes we go through? Today, I just want to remind. It's just one more minute. Just want to remind. If the Lord has promised something, in your life, He has given you a promise. He is not a man to forget that. He is not a man to change that. He will not change his word. That's a promise. It's a short promise. Because who is promising? Who is he that is promising? He says, the Most High rules over the kingdom of man. Even, who is writing that, do you know? King Nebuchadnezzar is writing. Not a small guy. He who kind of, made the world kind of shiver. That guy is writing, the Most High rules over the kingdom of man. Nobody can stand against his word. Today, I just want to encourage each one of you. If anyone is there who is stuck in any of the situations, wondering aloud, Lord, what's happening? I have all these promises, but where is it happening? Sarah's womb was barren and no more able to give birth to anyone, a child, right? But God's promises will never change. God's promises will never, ever change. And we are just one more testimony to that, right? And each one of you can be that testimony. If you have a promise, cling on to it. Cling on to it. That's the word. Cling on to it. And it is not just taking the promises and starting doing something. Take the promises, declare it. Keep on declaring it. Every single day. That was our, work. All these promises that we were getting, we used to keep on declaring. Lord, this is what you said. You said, this is not unto death. This is for the glory of God. So we will continue to trust in. Would you be willing to do that today? Raise up your promises, cling onto the promises. May the Lord help you.